Happiness is expensive. Here's why real leaders invest into family, health, and trust. I had the privilege of sitting down with Paul Atherton, the managing director of Highspire, a coaching business that helps construction companies essentially find the best value properties that they need to invest in, stops them from making mistakes that cost their business hundreds of thousands of dollars, and helps them scale predictably and sustainably. This podcast was amazing. Paul's energy, his curiosity, his philosophical stance on how to grow businesses is one that if you're in a place and you're struggling, you're at a plateau and you're looking at how to actually maximize your growth within your business, is a podcast that you should be listening to. As always, if you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe, share it with a friend. As entrepreneurs, we all experience challenges in our business journey. I'm Testouri, and the Grappling Growth podcast is my attempt at documenting my entrepreneurial journey while building my brands. I sit down with fellow entrepreneurs, understanding how they grapple with growth. I hope you find value and enjoy. Paul, welcome onto the show.
Hi, Joe. Thanks for having me.
You're most welcome. Paul, I'm curious, what does growth look like to you?
Great question. I think it's obviously what it looks like is a curve, a hockey stick curve that's moving up and to the right over time. But in a more like personal sense, growth is advancing in a few different areas in a healthy way, meaning you have balance. Like if someone said, "Are you growing as a person?" or how are you growing? Like, how's your growth been in the last year? If I was growing as nowadays, now that I have a wife and kids and, health is on my mind and things like that, I'd probably say, well, yeah, I'm growing. But the first thing that would come to mind is my family's doing well. My health is doing well. And then the third thing would be my business is also growing. Mm-hmm. And my staff are generally happy. Like, that's kind of how I personally think of it. Yeah, I remember this dinner I had with a friend once, and he was talking about this biography of a billionaire he was reading, and he was talking about how much the guy crushed it and everything. And then I said, well, how many times has he been divorced, and how many kids does he have, and do they talk to him, and what does he look like? So I looked online, divorced 3 times, 6 kids, one of them, anyway, it doesn't matter. Like, they just didn't seem to have very good lives. And then he looked like he was 80 pounds overweight, if I'm being honest. And so I wouldn't consider that to be great growth, speaking frankly.
What you mentioned there is, I remember looking into this before, hyper specialization. People give up all of the things that might not be important to them on the periphery, or the thing we chase one goal, such as finance, wealth, success in our careers, and we compromise everything else in our life. And you see this a lot with sports stars, where they make a boatload of money, as you mentioned, divorced, gone through troubles. Tiger Woods is a very good example. If you look at him, his personal life, what he's gone through looks like a bit of a wreck, but he's done that all in the name of becoming probably the most recognizable, the greatest golf player of all time. And it's really the way how I see things is there's a cost to everything. If you want to go party, then the cost is your sleep. If you want to work on your business, it's family. And it's sort of what we were talking about before, and the overarches to what you're mentioning. You were telling me just before we hopped on here about your mentor. Could you talk about him in a bit more detail and how he's maybe helped shape your view for growth?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So my mentor's name is John Novastad. He was the executive vice president of Avon back in the 90s. He had well over 1 million staff, massive career, started in the early 70s in the ground floor of that organization and rose up to the point where he was essentially second in command and in charge of all of Asia and their manufacturing distribution lines. He was, he's been on international news programs a number of times based in Hong Kong. Just a fabulous career, an amazing man, incredible wealth, just and just a real renaissance man. When you talk to him, you just immediately get the sense that this is somebody who has had a very positive impact on the world. His idea of growth is he considers staff in his organization. He wants to have a healthy culture. Like that's the primary focus for him, is just making sure his staff in his organization are doing well, then making sure the customers are doing well, and then the money follows. And that's always been his principle. Tangent to that, though, he talks about he's talked to me about his regrets in life and the things that he doesn't regret. And he said, even though he had a fantastic time with his family growing up, he said now that he's on the back end of, his he has a son and things like that, and he looks back and he says, but I'm conscious that he'll probably listen to this. um, but yeah, just frankly, he's told me, he said the things that really matter are how much time you're spending with your family, and it's the simple moments that we need to practice. It's the simple moments that we have to recognize as what's going to be of great value to us in our memories when we're older. And it's those simple moments that will produce great memories when we're older, because the people that we're focusing on, family, good friends, community outreach and things, will provide a much richer life uh, when we're kind of in the back half, like over 50 and over 60, if that makes sense. Here's a thing, we are a coaching company. We coach a lot of people, and the great entrepreneurs, the great ones, they tend to have a lot of time on their hands for family, relationships, personal well-being. And I've seen that with these people. They're not out there writing books. They're not out there trying to build a big audience. They're just quietly executing, and they're building great wealth. But their main priority is family, friends, and having like good, rich lives.
Why do you
And
think
it's
that's the case?
why, what's the case?
Why they focus on relationships, family, as opposed to the external, the things that might be focused on status?
It's just a switch in their brain. The currency that they deal in is relationships and love. It's being honest, like that's just it. It's their relationships, their personal health, and love. Like that's their currency in their mind. That's the currency that I deal in and that I put value in. The business is secondary. But what's interesting is every single person I know who operates like that has a really beautiful company. And I think it's just because people want to work with them.
Hmm.
And that's it. If I'm being totally honest, like they have a lot of wealth. Everyone I know who's like that, they have a lot of wealth.
Yeah, I think it's so hard for younger people. I'm 30, for instance, and I've tried to really go through the mental switch of what is wealth. I'd rather be wealthy as opposed to rich. And I think a lot of people in their 20s are so fixated on money. They want to hit a certain target and they forget, or I don't want to say they forget because it's they don't know, but they neglect the focus of, if I, as you said about your mentor, he said first serve your staff, your people, then your customers, and then the money will follow. But I think people pretty much get that in reverse, or at least they put money at the forefront, and it's always the case in
Yeah.
business. You're trying to sell fundamentally, but it's if you can position something as though you're not selling it to people, or it doesn't feel as though it's a pressure sell. Typically, it feels as though it's a smoother transition, and it's just rerouting the focus of you build a fantastic product, service, business, and then everything goes up. It's like building a house on the right foundations, and then going from there.
Yeah, exactly. There's a interesting concept that we teach, and I've heard it from various sources. I didn't make it up, but we tell people to, as they're building and they're having quarterly goals and annual targets, and they're building a business, they must have anti-goals in life.
They have what
And
goals, sorry?
anti-goals.
Okay, can you expand upon that?
Yeah. Okay. So an anti-goal is a negative outcome that you want to avoid in pursuit of your goals.
Right.
So for example, just speaking frankly, like if somebody goes and builds, say, a 10 or $20 million ARR business, they're wealthy, but um, they turn around when they're 48 and they're divorced, 80 pounds overweight, and and they're still chasing after some sort of a hedonistic lifestyle
Mm-hmm.
and trying to prove themselves. They will most likely be less happier and fulfilled in life than somebody who said, okay, yes, I'm going to build a business, but I won't do that at the expense of my marriage. So I will not build a business if I can't, here's the anti-goals come in, if I can't work out 3 times a week or 4 times a week. I can't take my wife on a date night once a week. I can't coach my kids' soccer team. I
Mm-hmm.
can't take my family on at least one 3-day outing every quarter. You know what I mean? Like they just come up with anti-goals. They say, this is my non-negotiable in life that I won't sacrifice in pursuit of building a business or advancing my career. Because there's a lot of people out there that don't have a business. I'm an entrepreneur and we have a coaching company that works with entrepreneurs, but a lot of people out there have an entrepreneurial mindset. They just happen to be working for a very large company, and companies are happy to get you to work 60, 70 hours a week for them. Right. But an anti-goal is just saying, I will not sacrifice these things in life over a span of years. And
Mm-hmm.
what you see as a result is typically people who have a more balanced life at over a 10-year period, if they keep that in mind.
It sort of goes back to the point I made at the start. It's you have to pick your cost. At the end of the day, it's there's an opportunity cost for everything we do in life. Right now, you could be maybe sleeping, or you could be doing another piece of work. Instead, you're here on this podcast, and there's a cost and opportunity for everything that we're doing at the same
Mm.
time. The mindset that you have right now, when do you think it started to form? Was it something that you had ingrained in you since you were a child, or do you think it was the influence of mentors, having the right people around you, or something that clicked maybe when you were 25 years old?
Oh, that's a good question. It's when I started coaching businesses and when I got married. So my wife
How
has
was
always,
that?
so that was 2017. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I got married in 2017 and started coaching businesses business owners in 2017. And my wife, I mean, she could be in the Four Seasons or in a Motel 6 and she's still happy.
Mm-hmm.
She's a very, very balanced person. So, and she's what is it, 8 years, almost 9 years we've been married. She's really pounded that into me. Just, it's okay. We're health, family. That's what really matters. Let's not starve, but that's what matters. So she's really helped me to see that. And I've also seen a huge differential in happiness with people that I've personally, like we have a coaching company that has coaches that have people that they coach, but there's people that I still personally work with that I've been personally working with since 2017. And I've seen a massive differential between how they operate their lives and many other business owners that didn't have those same habits. And just from my own anecdotal experience working with businesses, you can't help but notice that the people that are focusing on um, uh, a few different domains in life rather than just career success tend to be more fulfilled and happy. If
Right.
that just like, I'm sure you can think of examples too. Being in your seat, you talk to lots of different people. You've probably seen that firsthand.
I mean, I think a summary of what I've seen is the richest people don't define their riches based off of monetary values, and they base it off what you said earlier, community impact, relationships with family first and foremost, religion, friends, looking at the greater good. And they are infectious people to be around. And then you see the
Yeah.
flip side of the business owner who, for better terms, is quite narcissistic and they're very self-centered. And I think what goes hand in hand with narcissism is the focus purely on money, and that attracts certain people. It doesn't personally attract me, but you then see the, I don't know how you'd say it, you can feel this cloud loom over their heads, and you can feel the energy that they attract versus the infectious personalities of the people who think about others first and foremost, and how that goes side and side or coincides with what they're doing. So that's my perspective on that. And those people are just magnetic with attracting the right people to them.
100%. You know what's funny though? This is this is not a popular thing to say, by the way, and this is going to ruffle a lot of feathers. My father is a brilliant guy, and he's said two things to me. He said, if you have problems in life, if you don't have a family and things like that, if you have problems in life, you focus on two things: gym, money. A lot of your problems will go away if you're healthy and you have money. Like you
Mm-hmm.
can, if being honest, like just gym, money, get healthy, focus on building wealth, right? And like that can take care of a lot of issues. And then another thing he told me is happiness is expensive. And this goes against what you're saying. And somebody who's probably been hanging around a lot of narcissistic people that are pursuing wealth will probably get their feathers ruffled when they hear me say that. But somebody who lives a balanced life, this is my own anecdotal experience, somebody who lives a balanced life where they're building their career and they're building wealth and they're using that wealth to pour into their families and they're using their free time to first of all take care of themselves and then take care of others, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Happiness is expensive because typically, and you can look this up, research shows that if you're already happy and you're building more monetary wealth, that will actually produce more happiness. Why is that? Because you have more options now. Because happy, fulfilled people, when they're building wealth, you can see them. They're not going and buying. They're not going from like a BMW M3 up to a Lamborghini Aventador,
Mm-hmm.
typically, because that's not the thing that's making them happy. The thing that's actually making them happy is dealing in the currency of building their communities, building their families, and building their businesses, just because their whole identity is wrapped up in being a good entrepreneur or like a good executive on a leadership team. But you can't really do that unless you're building wealth.
Yeah, I think to what you said, I agree with your. What's your dad's name?
Tom.
Tom. I agree with
Yeah.
Tom's
Yeah.
sentiment there, because I talk all the time with my friends and friends who run businesses that we say 80% of our business problems and life problems would be solved with more money. If you realistically you have a problem in life, you have enough money. If you can throw it at it, if you can throw money at it, it solves most of the issues that you have to hand. In turn with that, the point about gym, and I think training for me, as I can tell with you, is very important. It's whenever I look at myself, if I'm in a rut, I'm in a low spot, something's not going well, the first thing that's probably off kilter is my training. And for me, it's, as you were saying, it's something that I take very seriously. I look to train 5-6 times a week. And I was on holiday in Spain a couple of weeks ago, and
That
I was
sounds
only away for 5 days. Sorry?
that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. And we were just, I was with friends, just partying up in Ibiza. So it was a good time, stuff that you're, when you're doing it at a
Right on.
certain age. But we got a few training sessions in, and I remember come to the end of the second to last day, my friend and I looked at each other and we got a little bit itchy. We were a bit like, okay, this is fun, but where's the purpose? And I feel at times you get in life two people. You get the drivers who believe in what Tom said, and I fully believe in what your father said. And you get the passengers, the people who they're just in cruise control for the majority of their lives, and they probably fail to achieve 80% of what they look for. So as he also said, the second point, uh, money buys a lot of happiness. It's true if you're there and I don't know, you go into a basic bakery, coffee shop, or restaurant, and you can't afford something on the menu, or you want to take a woman out and you're single, then it feels like it bruises the ego. And I think as men, especially, we're in this dichotomy in space where we want wholesome experiences, but generally in life, no matter where you are in the world, things cost money if you go to the standard. But then if you look at the happiness ratios or the happiness salary index, takes on average $110,000 in yearly salary to be at the peak, where after that diminishing returns happens, where your emotions start dropping. So I guess it's looking at what's enough for us and then looking at what we're building to. I guess an aspirational question to you: what's the 10-year vision of Highspire?
Can I go back to that 110,000 actually? Respectfully. Yeah, respectfully, there's quite a lot of debate on whether or not that finding has merit, and we could look it up, and I'll send you some of the information I have. But other research has been done that says, in a nutshell, if you're already happy and fulfilled, more money, i.e., more options, is going to make you more happy and fulfilled, typically. Now, if you're already miserable and there's just, some sort of trauma and something that you have to work through, more money is actually going to make you more miserable. And concurrently, if you're poor, and you're fulfilled and happy, more money up to a certain point will tend to make you more fulfilled and happy, but you're already happy. But if you're miserable and you're poor, more money is not going to make you fulfilled and happy. It'll just take care of your basic needs. So that data is really important because it basically says that this concept of money equating to happiness at a certain line is like kind of bogus.
So are you suggesting that you need to look at what the core reason is as to why you're unhappy or unfulfilled and then fix that problem?
Yeah, generally. And again, like my own anecdotal experience, working with people that invest a lot in their communities and family, is their fulfillment and happiness tends to go up directly proportional to the wealth that they're building. That doesn't mean that they weren't fulfilled and happy. They're just continually advancing and pouring back into their communities, and it's giving them more fulfillment and more happiness. And it's this symbiotic relationship that they have with the rhythm of life. And money happens to be a big part of that for them. But again, somebody this again is going to ruffle feathers for, people listening, but people that have already experienced that would know exactly what I'm saying. But a lot of people grow up with this poverty mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And when they look at somebody with money and wealth, they tend to put a negative label on them.
Absolutely.
And I think, well, that's not going to be me. One day when I get that money, I'm not going to be like that person. They don't even know that person.
And
If they do somehow acquire wealth, they won't. I was talking to someone the other day, and she didn't want to buy a house on an acreage because she was concerned that people would see her as a rich person. And she grew up with parents who are like telling her that rich people are bad. And actually, that belief is the thing that prevents people from actually building businesses, because they hit a ceiling and they just can't get through. We see it all the time. People will hit $5 million with $5 million revenue and they can't punch through it. Why is that? They just hit that ceiling again and again and again. Then we plug them in with a good life coach. By the way, there are some really good ones out there. They'll hit 10 million just because they dealt with that childhood stuff, which is helping them become a better leader, which is helping them see their businesses differently. And then they punch through that gap.
We'll go back to the previous question about the 10-year goal. What
Yep.
do you think makes a good leader in business?
What's a good leader in business?
What do you think makes a good leader in business?
Well, you have to go back to John Maxwell's 5 levels of leadership. And so what do I think? I'm going to copy John Maxwell. He described it perfectly in the 5 levels of leadership. Do you know what they were?
I don't know what they were.
So level 1 is people follow you because of your title. So you
Okay.
say, "Hey, I'm, the project manager, or I'm the, vice president of marketing or something. Do this or you're fired." So I sign your paychecks basically. Do this or you're fired. That's level 1. And a lot of people stop at that. They get the title on their business card and then that's it. They're just like, you have to do what I say. Level 2 is where people follow you because of your experience and the knowledge that you have. So you have credibility. So people follow you because you're an expert in a specific area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so leaders must have that. They have to have credibility. Um, the next level, level 3, is people follow you because of what you've done for the organization or for your industry. So you have a performance track record of success. So leaders must have that too. They have to have a performance track record of success, and they have to have strong, specific experience in doing the thing that, um, uh, in doing the activity of the people that they're leading. Okay, they have to have, like, at the best CEOs that I've ever talked to, they can get into the nuances of all the jobs in their organization. If I'm being honest, they're just excellent learners. Um, level 4 is people follow you because of what you've done for them. Okay, so if you're my boss in an organization and I go and I'm new and I go talk to somebody who's been working for you for a few years and I say, "What about Joe? What do you think of him?" And that person's going to say, "Joe is incredible. Joe every quarter spends the time working with me on my professional development, and he's actually helped me do better in my personal life because I can tell he really cares. And he's gone to bat for me multiple times. When I screw up, Joe takes the blame for it with the senior management. Joe's amazing. That's level 4. Describe, and it's much tougher to reach. A level 5 leader is, you can think of these people in your community, these men and women who have built up substantial organizations that move and operate without them. So they've created this culture and they've created an entire ecosystem that moves now without them. So um, a level 5 leader is someone who's just created this ecosystem that just benefits the community, their customers, their staff in a very, very positive way. And that's their whole focus. And they're just in the background, just pushing this forward. And there's a lot of people I can think of in my own city of Victoria who have done that. My mentor is one of them. And he's, according to John Maxwell, considered a level 5 leader. So to go back, if people want to sit and say, "Am I a good leader or am I a bad leader?" I think those 5 levels that John Maxwell describes will really help give people a very, like, objective target to achieve in their own growth. And you can be a level 2 leader with some people and a level 4 leader with others. But I think
Mm-hmm.
the goal is to be a level 4 leader with absolutely everybody that's in your sphere, which isn't possible, frankly, but that should be the goal.
I think that's the best definition I've ever heard on leadership because, as you said, it's and naturally you've kind of coined it, paraphrased it from John Maxwell, but it's as you said, it's objective. There's actually, it's very, as you were saying that, I could think about myself and think, okay, I was going through the levels and I was like, and I could humbly say there was 2 or 3 people who have worked with me over the years who I thought, actually, I'm a level 4 leader to them. I know that they've finished up within the company. We've caught up on the phone 2 years later and they've said, you did this for me, or you allowed me to get to this level, or I don't know, you go for a drink or you catch up over coffee and they just say, I just really want to say thank you for allowing me to do this. And they always love that teacher or that mentor or that leader who they can feel that with. From what sports are you interested in?
Oh, just yeah, it's snowboarding, motocross, running,
Are there any
unfor-
team
team
sports you're into?
sports.
Ice
Yeah,
hockey?
unfortunately, no. I was a bit of a hermit growing up. I
Yeah,
wish I was in team sports, man. Yeah. So unfortunately, no. I don't have any
I
great
was going to
example.
ask because I'm not too sure if you're familiar with British football, but straight away, what you were talking about, there's a very, very famous soccer football coach called Sir Alex Ferguson. He was the manager of Manchester United for
Oh,
26,
cool.
27 years. But everything you spoke about there, that reminded me of him, and that's the team that I support. We're not doing very well now, but there was one thing sprung to mind when you were saying your the hierarchies, the levels. When you spoke about the level 5 leader, I remember reading a book before, and it mentioned it was half time in a football match. The game was 0-0 or 1-0 to the opposing team, and a new player who just arrived. His name was Owen Hargreaves. He was walking down the tunnel, and then this is a famous British footballer called Rio Ferdinand. He came up behind him and literally just grabbed him by the shirt and just said, "Get your ass down the tunnel." And he's like, "What?" And he's like, "Listen." He's like, "When it's half time, you don't walk down the tunnel, you run. It's a signal to the other team that you're fit." And essentially, what they were talking about within this scenario was when there's really good culture with an organization, it doesn't need to be said by Paul. It doesn't need to be said by Sir Alex Ferguson. It's it's like a cancer throughout the team in a very good way. Cancer is not the right word, but it's infectious amongst your team members. They understand without you being there, there's a hierarchy, there's a way of things being done, there's a culture that's embedded throughout the organization, the team, the community that the leader doesn't even need to talk about. You know, your team members know straight away off the bat, this is the way we do things at Highspire.
Mm, that's so true. And you know what? And it's not just the leader. Like as you're talking, I can think of people in our company and even in our community. We work with quite a lot of people that are the glue that's holding the culture together, just in how they live their life, right? And as a leader of an organization, you have to know who those people are, by the way, because they're going to be the ones that are improving the lives of others. As soon as you get past 100 people, forget. I mean, it's impossible to pour into them. That's why making sure your leadership team is they're solid and they live, eat, and breathe. And it goes back to core values too. Years ago, I remember being in a company that we had a consultant come in to talk about core values, and I couldn't wait to get out of there just because I didn't really get it. Now I'm 43. It's like all we think about. Are we in alignment with our company's core values all the time? Hire, fire, and promote based on core values. That's what an entrepreneur operating system is big over here, and that's what they preach. And yeah, I fully believe it.
So, with that said, what would you say are your main core values within Highspire?
Oh, okay, yeah. So one of them is vanguard leadership, uh, and what that the vanguard in any military application is just a small advancing force that's doing like very special missions. We're a very small company, and
Mm-hmm.
we're the only ones doing what we're doing out there. So we have to basically, um, we're the first ones through the door of the saloon, in the Wild West. So we have to be small and nimble and fast. So Vanguard leadership is one that we live by. So if we have somebody that comes in with a big company mentality and they have this kind of country club um, approach to things, they're just not going to work here. Everyone here is actually lean and mean in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
The other is visible integrity. I've found that many organizations have um, core values around integrity, but it's just fluff. So we say it has to be visible integrity. So we have a lot of events and things like that. So what does visible integrity mean? It means don't have too many drinks, right? Keep the language in check. You're a representative of yourself, your family, and this company. So it's very important just to think about, okay, how am I showing the world how I have integrity? And that's a really hard one to live up to, by the way, especially when you're driving in rush hour or something. And the other is exceeding expectations. When you have a organization like ours that we have brand promises and we have expectations that people have put on us, it's extremely important to understand where those lynch points are on ways that we can absolutely exceed what people are expecting. So, for instance, if you come to us with a question on whether or not you should hire an operations manager, you have it down to 2 candidates. One of the ways that we'll exceed expectations with you is we will actually join the interview process. Or if you have a real estate deal going on right now with, say, a 12-unit complex in Albuquerque, New Mexico, let's say, even though I might not work with you, you might work with a coach. I'll know what that deal is, and I'll go to absolute experts and get their buy-in.
Mm-hmm.
And that is multi-$1,000 value that you're getting just for being with us, because we want to absolutely exceed your expectations and make sure you don't make a multi-million-dollar mistake.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the values that we really try to live by. And I think it's good because, like, we've had to let people go in this company because I could tell they didn't think about exceeding expectations. We're a remote company and they just wanted to take advantage of that. If I'm being
Mm-hmm.
honest, they just wanted to take advantage of that. And they didn't exhibit vanguard leadership. Like, they weren't capable of taking something on personally and executing without very much direction. And we had to part ways because of it. But it made the decision easy, frankly, because you're like,
That's so powerful, and as someone who is always striving to build their own culture within their business, improve stuff, you've given me a lot of lessons, and I'm sure people who are tuning in are going to take tons of lessons from that. I want to share with you something that I started using about 5 years ago within my own team. We created what's known as a black book, and it's whenever there's a new team member, and I never call anyone within our company uh, my employees, or it's always we're a team. No one's working for me. We're with. That's the mentality that I try to use. But we created a black book, and I coined this concept myself off someone else. It was former England rugby coach. I'll remember his name in a moment, but he essentially had this black book, and the English rugby team. I don't follow rugby, but I listened to this on a fantastic podcast, the High Performance Podcast. He had this black book in the changing room, and the English rugby team, when he joined, I think in 1997, 1998, they were an amateur team and they moved to a professional team. But he had this black book in the changing room where players, and again, this is about the culture. Culture wasn't just said from the top down. Culture is systemic. It's all throughout the organization, and it's where you have this cultural alignment of achieving these goals. So, understanding that you're your own representation, you have integrity in what you do. You're your own brand, so to speak. That's representation throughout. But the players could go into the black book and put down something in the black book that they would want to work towards. So they came up with one concept called Lombardi time, which was from Vince Lombardi. And what it was is, and this is what we started with our own team, is if we had a meeting, anyone within the team could call Lombardi time, which meant we don't show up 2-3 minutes before the meeting. We show up 10 minutes before the meeting so that the team could have a recce beforehand. And then if we're talking to clients or partners or whoever, we just gave ourselves that catch up. So we'd be within Slack or wherever, and we would do that. But we got that from there. So it was, if you called Lombardi time, no one else could overrun it or overrule it. But that meant you had to show up 10 minutes beforehand. And I'll share our black book with you afterwards,
yeah,
so
I'd
you
love to
can
see
see it
it.
yourself. I'd love your feedback and opinion on that. But what we do is we have a rule that anytime we have a new team member join us, right at the bottom of the black book, they leave, they're non-negotiable. They leave a rule that they want to instill, that they live by themselves, their integrity that they put in there. So you can just see a log of, it's probably about 10 or so people who've left a log in there. But it was something that I feel very proud of. And it's always something that whenever there's a new team member who comes in, they have to read the black book. That's the first thing before onboarding onto any other processes. It's read the black book, leave your non-negotiable, tag the rest of the team.
Would you say that's like an anti-goal, the non-negotiable?
Why would
In a way,
you suggest that? In what
I don't know.
sense?
Yeah, well, just I
I
think the
suppose, yeah.
concept of non-negotiables and anti-goals is very similar. Like as a like non people all have non-negotiables in life, and I think that goes back to that concept of anti-goals. Anyways, I'd love to see that black book. That's very insightful.
It was a concept that I loved putting together, and every here and now and then we'll update it, we'll put new changes in, and it's been really cool to see other team members come in and say, "Hey, I wrote this in the black book," or "This is what I think about here." And I think being such a small company, it's hard to use the word culture quite a lot of the time. As you said, people are here for money, but then you see the people who come in, and I'm sure you're the same approach. It's so expensive to hire and recruit new talent that you would
Hmm.
much rather have the same talent stay with you for 2, 3 years, and eventually they naturally churn because they move countries or their goals change or they're just in a different stage of life. I wanted to ask you a question earlier. This is a very, very broad goal. What's the mission and what's the long term goal for Highspire?
So yeah, monetarily, we are a fund. Uh, so I mean, obviously, we have targets around asset value. Um, I don't. For me personally, though, I just want our leadership team and our staff to they've all like everybody has financial targets and uh, personal well-being targets in the company, and my own goal as the leader of this company is just to help my staff achieve that. Frankly, me and my wife are fine. Like we have a good life. We don't live extravagantly, but we have a decent life. Like we go in the winter time and stuff like that, and our kids are homeschooled, so we can do those sorts of things. I don't need a lot, honestly. I just want to keep building a company with my friends, essentially, and I want to keep providing great value to the marketplace because, man, like we get these company owners come in and their lives are changed um, when they come in, and we can find that low hanging fruit in their organizations and make them better, and then that benefits their staff and their communities, and we just want to just keep doing that. We work with about 115 people right now. We could grow to 200. I mean, but I just want to keep providing the same value again and again and again. Um, yeah, I mean, I can. If you're like, what's my goal? I can, sure, yeah, it's this much asset value, and we'll make this much money in 2032. Like, but it's more. It's more around. I just want to keep maintaining what we have now. We have a great culture, and the staff are happy, and my leadership team's happy, and our clients are getting a lot of value. And I just want to keep doing that, and I really protect that.
I like that.
So,
That
like for
helps.
example, we run a winter event. It's an amazing event, and I've had people say to us, and even our summer event's incredible. And I've had people say to us, "Please, please don't turn this into an event that's going to have 2,000 people one day because it's going to lose what this is." And I said, "We're never going to do that. We're just always going to have an event that has this many people, and it's going to be run in this way. And I'm not going to price all the like upper middle class people out of it, like the people that have good companies but they can't afford 50 grand to
Mhm.
go to an event. Keep the prices normal, and whoever signs up can come, just because you want to keep that spirit alive in a company. And I've seen so many companies, Joe, where they lose that focus. And yeah, they might build something big, but it all crashes back really fast. And that's another thing my mentor told me. He said, as soon as trust is broken, you can't get it back in a company. And it's really hard to rebuild. You have to rebuild your culture. You have to rebuild your customer base. And when you're in a niche market like we are, that's really hard to do. Just keep focusing on providing great value to people. Keep focusing on connecting with like humans, like you and I talking here. Just keep focusing on that, and just protect your organization from narcissists and people that are chasing after temporal things, and you'll be fine. I'm sorry I didn't answer it like you probably wanted me to, because it's more like philosophical and fluffy, but
I love that answer. Do you read much? I know you read because I can see your fantastic book collection behind you. Do you read much Stoic philosophy?
oh yeah. Gosh, who's that? Ryan Holiday?
The Daily Stoic, yeah, he's written the Daily
Yeah,
Stoic.
yeah, and of course, yeah. Anyways, I do. That was, I got a little too into it, I think, back in the day. But anyway, sorry. What are you getting at with Stoic philosophy?
Just in line with a lot of what you spoke about, your answer was very philosophical, and I think it, there's three layers to everything in business, in my view. There's the external, the things that you can see on the outside, the financial goals. There's the internal, how you're making your company feel, how you're advancing things. Then you've got your philosophical, and I think what relates to me about a lot of what you've said is your answers to a lot of what you've said are come down to the internal and philosophical. And what that shows me is that you see the external being the byproduct of, first off, solving the internal and then the philosophical. And that tells me a lot about your character and the way how you're impacting your community and exceeding expectation amongst clients. And they must feel that you're coaching clients and everyone else who you partner with. It feels like that's a transcendence there. I have a question. You mentioned you're 43 now. What advice would you give to 20-year-old Paul?
To a 21-year-old,
20-year-old Paul.
a 20-year-old Paul. I'd probably go find my wife and marry her back then. Although I would have had to wait a couple of years because she's would have only been 16 at the time. But I don't know. I know that sounds weird, but I would have, if I could have, I would have probably married sooner if that would have been possible. I would have married my wife sooner.
How long have you
And
been together for? So you've been married for 8 years, right?
yeah, going on 9 in a couple of weeks, actually. That's the most important decision anyone can make, is who their spouse is. In my mind, in my view, that's the most important decision anyone can make. So yeah, I would have gotten married sooner, and to a good person. Yeah. I mean, I always
So,
had habits, and I read. Yeah, I always had decent habits and things like that, like reading, and I had pretty good friends. But yeah, I would have gotten married probably sooner. I think my personal life, having children and getting married, it definitely was a massive improvement. So I would have started all that back in my early 20s. So
my question to you was: are you familiar with the work of Jordan Peterson?
I am. Yeah, I subscribe to Daily Wire. I love it.
There we go. I think what we were mentioning there was all of his literature on choosing the right life partner, and he said that, in his opinion, the most important decision a person can make in their life is deciding their wife or husband. And I think that rings true, and that's echoing what you were saying. So I imagine there's an overlap with the Peterson wisdom that you've taken there.
Yeah, uh I don't recall him saying that, but I definitely agree with him. He's his insights on marriage and how you should be viewing your partnership with your wife have been invaluable for us. And in doing so, since making our relationship stronger, it's helped me, I think, be a lot calmer in how I approach business and friendships and other things. Marriage is everything, man. Are you married?
I'm not, but hopefully
Oh,
one day I'll be married.
Yeah, I feel like there's someone. You're a cool guy, man. There's someone really special out there for you.
That's very kind.
Yeah.
Also, and thank you for those words. When you were looking at your partner and looking for a wife, I guess this is a side tangent, and I'm indirectly asking for me. What are the key values you're looking for in the mother of your children?
That's a good point. There were, a few people I can think of, that I, dated prior to my wife, but I could never see them being like the mother of my children. Like I knew, okay, maybe we could have a functional life together, but I couldn't see them being like a good mother. And when I met my wife right away, I just knew this is a woman that would challenge me. Uh, this is a woman that I could be, and just being honest, this is somebody that I could be, it would be a soft place for me to fall on because I think I'm quite sensitive and I need to be able to talk things through. And she's a very tender person. And she also had a excellent family um, as well. They had a lot of trauma in their family, but their family came together to work through the interpersonal drama. And she was very intentional about recognizing the value in relationships and putting in the work necessary to elevate them up into different spheres. And that was one of the things I found really, really impressive about her. Um,
How do you? So you mentioned she was very tender. So it sounds as though there's a lot of her own personal upbringing and what's happening in her family. She essentially healed from what happened to an extent, and she was able to turn around and show you the love that maybe you need. Because I feel I'm quite the same. When I'm looking for a woman, it's that safe space. It's that you want that soft touch at times where you maybe running your own business, you project a certain personality out there to the world, and you need to be strong for everyone else. But then you want that spot to go to yourself.
yeah, 100%. Um, she's a strong person. She's a strong personality, but like yeah, we're just a good partnership. I mean, um, yeah, I think I guess when I was younger, I wanted to date women, it seems, who were like hard charging people and they're out there to conquer the world, and that's great. But Nikki, we have a, this is just for us, it's our own arrangement, and that works for us right now. Right. I, I say to her and she says to me, it's a mutual agreement. I say, look, I'll make the living and you make life worth living. So she makes our home, our friendships, our the experiences that we have as a family. She makes them amazing, and that allows me just to focus on like just business and and keeping them safe and from kind of a wealth building standpoint. But she has everything else taken care of. Like she's a full time mother and a full time wife, and yeah, that works. That arrangement works really, really well for us. But anytime she wants, if she says, "Hey, I want to go do something else," and we can split the load in both those areas, I'm fine with that. But right now, that's what works for us really well. I'll make the living, you make life worth living. She says, "I'll make life worth living, you make the living."
That sounds like a harmonious dynamic between the two of you. I remember you saying to me before you're spending a few months in Peru come the end of this year, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
What's
yeah. The Pacific Northwest
what's
has
the
rough
idea
winter.
there? Yeah, talk to me about that. I'm intrigued because I said maybe I'll see you out there. I'll be in South America come the end of the year. But what's the plan? What's the idea apart from escaping the winter?
Just being together as a family, I think. Yeah, we enrolled our little guys in school down there, and we're both trying to learn Spanish on Duolingo, and we're registered for some online courses before we go to actually try and speak to some Spanish people and refresh all the learning that we had in high school. and just be immersed in what I hear is a beautiful culture and a very family oriented culture with great food, and check out Machu Picchu. Um, yeah, the research has shown actually that when children reach their adult years, their strongest memories are of times when the family took vacations. So Peru is also like I could not afford to go to Hawaii for that long, and that's normally where we go in the winter, but it's like 2 3 weeks maybe. Peru is like very very cost effective, and from what I hear from family members and friends who have been there, it's right on par with going to a place like Hawaii or a really nice area of Mexico. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And
and the
how long are
food's
you there
amazing,
for?
man.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Peruvian food is incredible. It's so nourishing.
have you been there?
I haven't. I've done Brazil, Colombia, Argentina,
Wow,
in
crazy.
Paraguay.
Wow.
But yeah, I just got back from South America. I got back in the middle of May, and I was away for 5 months. So you talking about this gets me excited.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we actually the longest trips we've done away have been for about a month. So, and that was this past winter, and we just went to Mexico for 2 weeks and Hawaii for 2 weeks. But we're just living in one place in Miraflores for a full 2.5 months. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, because if you stay in one place, you can really immerse yourself in the culture and get some sort of rhythm to life
Yeah.
down there. And yeah, and it's super hard with kids to travel from city to city too. So we're looking forward to just parking ourselves in one
And
spot.
what's the plan for Machu Picchu? When are you planning to do it?
I don't know. We're trying to find somebody to. So if you can recommend anybody down there that
I
we're
can
just
ask some people actually.
yeah, we're trying to find someone, because we've got a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, so we just want someone to just take care of everything. Uh, so we're trying to just figure that out, and we'll just work ourselves into whoever that company or that person's schedule is. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Do you know the best restaurant in the world is in Miraflores?
Tell me more.
Yeah, they have like one of the highest concentrations of top restaurants in the world, actually,
Really?
right in Miraflores. Yeah, and the best one, like the top 50 that just got voted, is right there.
And is there any? Do you know what the reasoning behind it is?
Why they were voted the best in the world?
Yeah, or why there's such a high concentration of high class
Oh,
restaurants there?
oh, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'm guessing. I'm guessing it's because uh, it seems to be like one of this, like a traveler's best kept secret. Like every time I mention Miraflores to somebody who's been there, they go, "Ooh, only 10 weeks? It's amazing there." Like it's my sister and her husband went down there, and they just said, like they have 4 little kids, and they said it's just the best place to vacation and go. And I think a place like that just tends to attract, yeah, just incredible restaurateurs and professionals, and because it's a beautiful part of the world that isn't overblown on cost. So true craftspeople can go and just do the things they love, without going broke. Maybe.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm gonna ask that question when I'm there, though.
And are you when you go there, you staying in an Airbnb or what's the situation?
Oh no, we just yeah, it's just yeah, we just rented a vacation rental. Yeah, yeah,
Sounds
yeah,
exciting.
yeah. And the place we got is, I'll just say the numbers. It was $1,000 a week for 10 weeks for that was it a 2-bedroom place with an office on the 20th floor looking out over the ocean. Like that in Hawaii would be 100 grand at least for 10 weeks. Like it's just insane. I couldn't believe the value when we were looking at the prices for places down there. So
Yes, South America definitely. South America and Asia, they have some crazy untapped gems and places, locations where you could live for next to nothing at times. And the restaurant options. I mean, I spent 2.5 months in Colombia early this year, and that was just crazy. You can eat out twice a day, and it's the equivalent of what you'd pay for your shopping or groceries back
Mm.
home. So it makes sense to go out, and there is definitely this. One of the best phrases I heard was earning dollars, spending pesos or reais, and it's quite often what people do. If you can earn in such a strong currency and then take it to a developing nation, you're laughing.
Sounds like you have a pretty good life setup, remote work, and you can go and experience these different cultures and countries. And yeah, back to the person that one day you'll wind up with. Um, yeah, I think you're going to be able to have a pretty cool life with your family one day. That's one of the things that I've enjoyed greatly is taking my kids, and because they're homeschooled, and taking them and not really worrying about school curriculums or getting them back to class on time.
So interestingly, on that point, what made you want to homeschool your children?
Uh, there's a few reasons. I was homeschooled growing up, so I have kind of a bias towards it. Um, my wife is also a teacher, or she was. And then our school system here is quite under. Let's be honest, the teachers, the staff, everyone that I know, they're extremely hardworking people, but I think it's very underfunded considering the needs. And frankly, if you want your kids to have a good, solid education here, so many people would disagree with me, by the way, but this is just my opinion. You either send them to a private school or you school them yourself, and just give them um, that learning advantage in life. So yeah, it gives us the flexibility because we have one kid, he's 4. I know he's going to learn differently than my other kid who's 6, and we get to um, uh, teach them, give them a good foundation, and deploy that knowledge to them in a way that makes sense for them. Um, yeah, if I'm being honest, just better education.
You're
With that
you're
that being said,
asking
I have a
people.
lot of friends that have their kids in the public school system, and they would vehemently disagree with me. So people get their feathers ruffled when we talk about this, but more and more
Did
people
your
are
children
homeschooling,
go to
though.
school?
When I was homeschooled when I was a kid, it was embarrassing. Like not many people did it. Most of the people that did homeschool when I was a kid were kind of weird. Like I remember going to our homeschool conventions, and a lot of the kids lived way out in the wilderness, and there's I don't know, there's just kind of a weird vibe nowadays. Tons of people homeschool in our city, and they actually have um, uh, programs that your kids can be a part of throughout the week so that they get the social factor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I had a hard time. I was homeschooled right up until grade 10, and then I went to school, and it was a shock, man. Like just being in, like just trying to learn about the social dynamics, and I realized, oh, I can't just go talk to these people because well, I'm not in that crowd or whatever. And yeah, I kind of had to learn all that social hierarchy, which I don't think I still learned, but maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah, I remember reading before on that saying the most important thing for children when they're growing up is to play. It's not to learn or be taught. It's to play. It's how to integrate with other children, and that would be one of my concerns about raising children if I was to ever. And I've dabbled in the idea of homeschooling them, and I think your influence gives me a more painted view of it yourself because you've been homeschooled yourself and you're homeschooling your children, so naturally you're in agreement with it. But I thought for myself, if I want to live the lifestyle of, uh, I like the idea of having zones or different locations that I can live in, whether that be Spain, London, South America. But then thinking of that, what does that mean for the time I have children? Is this a single man's life that I'm living right now, or is it one that could adapt into how it works? So your use case of going to Peru a few months' time for 2 months is interesting. Is this the plan for the foreseeable? Are you looking to essentially escape the Canadian winter moving forward?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Our goal is just to not be here from like January to April every year. Yeah. And
So
not hemorrhage like $100,000 to be somewhere else. Like
Yeah.
That's why places like Peru seem so attractive.
So for you, where's on the hit list? You have Peru, then Brazil, and then other countries throughout Southern America or South America?
Oh yeah, definitely. Um, I don't know too much about South America, so I can't really comment. I'm hoping maybe after Peru, when we come back, I'll have more knowledge and I've spoken with more travelers and to discover and hear about areas that seem like Miraflores.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, one day we would love to go back to Italy. That place, just my wife and I went there for a few weeks in 2019, and that was amazing, man. We literally we spent 1 week in little small towns. We didn't. I said I'll go to Italy with you, but please don't take me to any big cities. And so that's another place we'd love to go spend more time. Italy is friggin' amazing, man. Like if you stay like on the it's fine. Like go to Florence and Rome and all that. But if you stay on the outskirts and the little communities, you can have just a great experience.
Did you go to the Amalfi Coast?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We had a little blue Volkswagen Bug that was like from the '80s that we rented. It was really cool. We drove way up in the mountains and stayed at all these little farms and stuff. It was really fun.
Beautiful, beautiful. Paul, it's
Yeah.
been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast today. What's next for you, and where can people find you?
Oh, yeah. Just I think my main focus is just keep a nice rhythm going in life, and yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, pretty active on LinkedIn, and our company's Highspire, HIGHSPIRE.com, and yeah, I'm always open to chatting, especially with people who are in the coaching space. So, if anybody out there is in the coaching space, I find that space is quite fragmented, and there's no organizations that really do a good job helping people who run coaching companies. So, yeah, if anyone wants to chat about this, I'm always open to learning
Absolute
from
pleasure,
others.
Paul. It's been a pleasure having you on today.
Thanks, Joe. Good meeting you, man.